At my family's Thanksgiving dinner, I thanked Grandpa Walter for the $200 head given me last month when my car broke down. He looked confused and said the gift was $500,000, not $200. My blood turned cold. My sister Angela and parents went silent, faces drained of color. I checked my bank account right there at the table and found only $200 deposited on that date. Someone had stolen $499,800 meant for me. Within 30 minutes, I called the police. Let me back up and explain how we got here. 1 month earlier, my life was simpler. I was 28 years old, working as an accountant at a small firm in downtown Portland, Oregon. I had my own apartment, paid my bills on time, and was saving up for a house. Nothing fancy, just a decent life built on hard work and careful planning. Then my car decided to teach me about humility. I was driving home from work on a Tuesday evening when I heard this horrible grinding sound coming from under the hood. The transmission had completely failed. I managed to limp the car to a mechanic shop, where a guy named Tom gave me the news I didn't want to hear. $3,000 to fix it. My savings account had about $1,200. My credit card had room for maybe $1,500 more. I was short. I sat in that garage, smelling oil and rubber, feeling like a failure. I'm an accountant. I'm supposed to be good with money. But rent in Portland isn't cheap. Student loans don't pay themselves. And I'd helped my sister Angela with her mortgage payment 6 months earlier when her husband Craig hit a rough patch. I had nothing left to cover this repair. So I did something I hadn't done since college. I called Grandpa Walter and asked to borrow money. My hands actually shook while dialing his number. Grandpa was 82 years old, living on his postal worker pension. Had spent 35 years delivering mail through rain, snow, and Portland's endless drizzle. He wasn't rich. But 3 years ago, something amazing happened. He bought a lottery ticket at the grocery store, same as Head done every week for decades. This time, he won $8 million. He took the lump sum, paid his taxes, and ended up with about $4.5 million. He bought a nicer house in Beaverton, helped his church, donated to charities, and set money aside for his kids and grandkids. But he still lived simply. Same old pickup truck, same flannel shirts, same terrible jokes. When I called him that Tuesday, I felt sick with embarrassment. I explained about the transmission, stumbled through an apology for asking, promised I'd pay him back within 6 months. Grandpa listened quietly, then said, "Joshua, you're my grandson. You don't borrow from family. You accept help from family. Give me your bank account number. I'll take care of it." I gave him my account number, routing number, all of it. We talked for a few more minutes about work and life, and then I thanked him and hung up. 2 days later, on Thursday morning, I checked my bank app during my lunch break. There it was, a deposit for exactly $200. The memo said, "From Grandpa." I stared at that screen for a long time. $200, not 3,000, just 200. I felt this complicated mix of gratitude and confusion. I figured maybe Grandpa couldn't afford more. Maybe I'd misunderstood, and Head said he'd help, not cover the whole thing. Maybe his lottery money was running low. He was generous with everyone, after all. Maybe Head spread himself too thin. I didn't want to call back and ask for more. That felt greedy and disrespectful. So I thanked him via text message, used the $200 plus my savings, and maxed out my credit card to pay for the repair. I'd be eating rice and beans for months, but my car worked. I was grateful for what I got. Now, fast forward to Thanksgiving. The whole family gathered at Grandpa's house in Beaverton. My parents, Donald and Patricia, drove in from Salem. My sister Angela came with her husband Craig. We had the traditional spread: turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, cranberry sauce that still had the lines from the can. Grandpa made his famous pumpkin pie with extra cinnamon. After dinner, we were all sitting in the living room, full and happy. "Hello. I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together." My father Donald stood up from his chair. Angela's face went pale, and Craig just stared. I pulled out my phone with trembling fingers and opened my banking app right there. I navigated to my transaction history, found the date from last month, and there it was. Deposit, $200. From Walter Thompson. Memo. From Grandpa. I only got 200, I whispered. My voice sounded strange in my own ears. Grandpa pulled out his phone, fumbling with the screen. He found what he was looking for and turned it toward me. His bank statement showed a withdrawal dated exactly 1 month ago. The amount, $500,000. The memo, for Joshua, early inheritance. The world tilted. $499,800. Gone. Just gone. Stolen from me before I even knew I had it. Angela spoke up, her voice shaking. Wait. Dad got the account number wrong, didn't he? Maybe it went to someone else's account. Grandpa shook his head and scrolled through his text messages. He showed us the message I'd sent him with my account information. The numbers matched my account exactly. I double-checked, triple-checked. It was definitely my account number. Craig leaned forward from where he sat next to Angela. Maybe the bank made an error? Like a processing mistake. I was already scrolling through my entire transaction history, going back months. There was no $500,000 deposit, no rejected transaction, no reversal, no error message, no pending transfer. Nothing. Just that single $200 deposit and my regular paycheck deposits and bill payments. The money had simply vanished into thin air. My father grabbed his phone. We need to call the bank right now. They're closed, my mother said quietly. It's Thanksgiving. I looked at Grandpa's stricken face. He looked 10 years older suddenly, his skin gray. I don't understand, he said. I did everything right. The wire transfer went through. My bank confirmed it. That's when I made the decision. I stood up, my legs unsteady, and said, I'm calling the police. 30 minutes later, 2 officers stood in Grandpa's living room. Officers Martinez and Thompson introduced themselves and sat down with notebooks. Officer Martinez was a woman in her 40s, with kind eyes and a professional demeanor. Officer Thompson was younger, maybe early 30s, and took detailed notes while his partner asked questions. They interviewed each of us separately, then together. Grandpa showed them his bank statement and the wire transfer confirmation receipt. I'll never forget the look on Officer Martinez's face when she examined it. She showed it to her partner, and they exchanged a glance that made my stomach drop. The wire transfer shows as completed, Officer Martinez said carefully. According to this confirmation, the money left Mr. Thompson's account successfully and was sent to the account number provided. The transaction was marked complete by his bank, but I never received it, I said, hearing the desperation in my own voice. Check my account. It's not there. Officer Thompson looked at my phone screen, scrolling through months of transactions. There's definitely no deposit of that amount, just the $200 on the same date as Mr. Thompson's wire transfer. So where did it go? Angela asked. She was sitting close to Craig, gripping his hand. Officer Martinez closed her notebook. Hello. I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together. That was enough to buy a house, pay off my student loans, invest for retirement, have a real financial cushion. It was life-changing money, and I'd had it for exactly 0 seconds before someone stole it. I couldn't sleep. I kept checking my bank app every few minutes, as if the money might magically appear. I ran through scenarios in my head. A banking error seemed most likely, right? Some computer glitch that sent the money to the wrong account. We'd sort it out, get the money back. Everything would be fine. But a small voice in the back of my mind whispered something darker. What if it wasn't an error? At 11:30 at night, someone knocked on my apartment door. I looked through the peephole and saw Angela standing in the hallway, her arms wrapped around herself. I opened the door. Can I come in? She asked. Her eyes were red. We sat on my couch. Angela stared at her hands for a long moment before speaking. I need to tell you something, and you're going to be angry. My heart started pounding. What is it? 3 months ago, Craig lost his job. He was let go from the pharmaceutical company. He told me it was a restructuring thing, but I found out later he was fired for falsifying his sales reports. He's been lying to me, Joshua, about a lot of things. I felt cold. What does this have to do with the money? Maybe nothing. I don't know. But we're drowning in debt. Our mortgage is 3 months behind. Craig has been gambling, Online poker, sports betting, all of it. He kept telling me he was going to win it back, make everything right. We owe so much money. I didn't know how bad it was until 2 weeks ago when I found the collection notices had been hiding. Angela, you should have told me. Told Mom and Dad. I was ashamed, she whispered. I'm 30 years old and my life is falling apart. Craig promised he'd fix it. He said he had a plan. What plan? She shook her head. He wouldn't tell me, just said he was handling it. But Joshua, I swear I didn't take that money, and I don't think Craig did either. We didn't even know Grandpa was giving you anything. I wanted to believe her, but doubt had already planted its seed. Did Craig know my bank account information? Angela looked up, tears streaming down her face. I don't know. Maybe. You logged into your bank from our computer once, remember? 6 months ago when your phone died and you needed to pay a bill. He could have seen your password if you saved it. My blood ran cold. I had saved the password that day, the browser asked, and I clicked yes without thinking. After Angela left, I tried to sleep but couldn't. My mind raced. Around 2 a.m, my phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. The message was short. Your sister didn't take it, but she knows who did. Ask her about the family dinner 3 months ago. I called the number immediately. Disconnected. I tried texting back. The message failed to send. Whoever sent that text had used a burner phone or some kind of app that masked their real number. Family dinner 3 months ago. I racked my brain, trying to remember. Then it hit me. August. Dad's birthday. We all went to my parents' house in Salem. We had barbecue in the backyard, sang happy birthday, ate too much cake. It was a normal family gathering. Nothing strange happened, except now that I thought about it. Something had happened. Craig spent about 20 minutes in the garage with my dad. I remembered because my mom made a joke about them probably smoking cigars, even though Shed banned smoking on the property. They came back inside smelling like motor oil, not cigars, so she let it go. What were they talking about in that garage? I didn't sleep at all that night. When the sun finally came up on Friday morning, I was already dressed and ready to start making phone calls. Friday morning I called Angela at 7. She sounded groggy, but I didn't care. That family dinner in August for Dad's birthday. What happened in the garage between Craig and Dad? Long silence. Then, how did you know about that? Angela, tell me right now. She started crying. I didn't want you to know. I was trying to protect everyone. Tell me. The story came out in broken pieces. Craig hadn't just been gambling casually. Had gotten in deep with the wrong people. Online gambling is one thing, but Craig had started betting with a local bookmaker who ran an illegal operation. When Craig couldn't pay his debts, the bookmaker threatened him. Threatened their house, threatened Angela. At that August dinner, Craig had cornered our father in the garage and confessed everything. Begged for help. Said he owed $30,000 to dangerous people who were going to hurt him if he didn't pay. Dad promised to help figure something out. Told Craig to keep it quiet, not to tell Angela or me because it would just cause unnecessary worry. Dad said, he'd handle it. But he didn't handle it. I said, my voice hard. Did he? I only found out about all of this 2 weeks ago. Angela sobbed. A letter came to our house. A threat. Craig finally told me everything. He said Dad promised to help but then never did. The debt has grown to $70,000 now with interest and penalties. Joshua, I've been terrified. These people know where we live. I hung up and drove straight to my parents' house in Salem. It took 45 minutes, and I made that drive in 40. My dad's truck was in the driveway. I pounded on the front door until he opened it. Joshua, what is going on? You know exactly what's going on. I need to talk to you. Now. My mother appeared behind him in her bathrobe, confused and worried. I pushed past them into the living room. Tell me about Craig. Tell me about the garage conversation in August. My father's face went gray. He glanced at my mother, then back at me. How did you find out? Does it matter? You kept this secret. You knew Craig was in trouble with criminals, and you said nothing. Did you help him steal Grandpa money from me? What? No. Joshua, I would never do that. My mother's voice cut through. Someone better explain what's happening right now. So it all came out. My father admitted he knew about Craig's gambling debts and the threats. He explained that Head promised to help but then didn't know how. He couldn't come up with $30,000. Head thought about asking Grandpa for help but was too ashamed to admit his son-in-law was mixed up with criminals. "I made a mistake," Dad said, his voice breaking. "I should have told everyone. I should have been honest. But I thought I was protecting the family. By keeping secrets," I shouted. "By letting Craig spiral? What else haven't you told us?" My mother sat down hard on the couch. "Donald, what did you do?" My father collapsed into a chair, looking 20 years older. 3 months ago, I co-signed a loan for Craig, $25,000 from a personal loan company. I thought he was going to use it to pay off his gambling debts. He promised he would, but he didn't. He gambled with that money too, trying to win more. He lost it all. Then he defaulted on the loan. Now I'm liable for the full amount plus interest. We're on the hook for almost $35,000. My mother went pale. "You co-signed a loan without telling me? For Craig? I thought I was helping." The three of us sat there in that living room, our family's foundation cracking under the weight of secrets and lies. My phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but something told me to answer. "Is this Joshua Thompson?" "Yes. This is Rebecca Chen from the fraud department at Pacific First Bank. We've been reviewing your account after the police report filed last night. We found something unusual. Can you come to our downtown branch today?" "He'll be there in an hour." My mother was crying. My father looked destroyed. I stood up to leave. "I don't know if you stole that money or not, Dad, but I'm going to find out. Joshua, I swear on your mother's life, I had nothing to do with the missing money. I made terrible decisions, but I'm not a thief." I wanted to believe him, but belief felt like a luxury I couldn't afford anymore. I drove to the Pacific First Bank downtown branch. Rebecca Chen met me in a private conference room. She was in her 30s, sharply dressed, with the kind of focus that told me she was very good at her job. "Mr. Thompson, we conducted a deep audit of your account going back 6 months. We found something concerning. 2 days before your grandfather's wire transfer, someone accessed your online banking portal from a device that wasn't yours." My heart stopped. "What do they do?" "They changed your account's incoming wire instructions. Specifically, they set up an automated rule that would reroute any incoming wire transfers over $100,000. The rule would send the bulk of the money to a different account and deposit only a small portion into your actual account. In this case, $499,800 went to the external account, and $200 came to you." I couldn't breathe. "Who did this? Can you trace them?" "The login used your actual username and password. That's why it didn't trigger our security alerts. The system thought it was you making the change. But the IP address came from a coffee shop in Northeast Portland, Stumptown Coffee on 32nd Avenue. The device was a laptop that connected to their public Wi-Fi. Can you see what account the money went to?" Rebecca shook her head. The receiving account was a cryptocurrency exchange. Once the wire hit that exchange, it was immediately converted to Bitcoin and transferred out to an external wallet. From there, the trail goes cold. Cryptocurrency transactions are nearly impossible to trace without cooperation from the wallet owner. So, the money is gone. I'm sorry. Without knowing who set up this scheme, we can't recover it. But Mr. Thompson, here's what concerns me most. Whoever did this knew your username and password. They knew exactly when your grandfather would send the wire. They had detailed knowledge of your banking habits and security questions. This was someone close to you. I thought about Craig, about the computer at Angela's house, about the password I'd saved 6 months ago, about the timing of everything. "I think I know who did it," I said. I drove straight from the bank to Angela and Craig's house in Hillsborough. My mind was racing, connecting pieces I didn't want to fit together. The timeline made sense. Craig had access to my password 6 months ago. Had been desperate for money since at least August. He knew Grandpa had won the lottery. Had been at Thanksgiving dinner last year when Grandpa mentioned wanting to help his grandchildren with early inheritances. Angela's car was in the driveway. I didn't see Craig's Jeep. I knocked on the door. Angela answered, her eyes swollen from crying. "Joshua, I've been trying to call you. Is Craig here?" "No, he left for work this morning. He doesn't have a job, Angela." She flinched. "Hes looking for work. He had interviews today." I pushed past her into the house. We need to talk. All of us. Call Mom and Dad. Tell them to come here now. What's going on? I told her about the bank's findings, the rerouted wire, the cryptocurrency, the coffee shop. With each detail, Angela's face grew paler. When I finished, she sat down on the couch and put her head in her hands. It was Craig, she whispered. Oh God, it was Craig. You knew. No, I swear I didn't know, but it makes sense now. Has been acting strange for weeks. Secretive. Has been on his laptop late at night. When I ask what he's doing, he says he's applying for jobs or managing our finances. But Joshua, we don't have any finances to manage. We're broke. My parents arrived 30 minutes later. My father looked like he hadn't slept. My mother's face was rigid with anger at him, at the situation, at everything. We all gathered in Angela's living room. We need to search Craig's things, I said, with Angela's permission. Angela nodded. His office. He keeps his laptop in there. We went upstairs to the second bedroom that Craig used as a home office. It was messy, papers everywhere, coffee cups on the desk. The laptop sat closed on the desk. Angela opened it. No password. The screen came to life. My father started looking through the browser history while I checked the desktop files. What we found made me sick. Search history from 2 months ago. How to reroute wire transfers, change bank account routing numbers. Bitcoin exchanges. Countries with no extradition to US. How to hide cryptocurrency transactions. What happens if caught for wire fraud? There were bookmarked websites for cryptocurrency exchanges, downloaded PDFs about financial fraud techniques, and then we found it. A cryptocurrency wallet app installed on the laptop. I opened the app. The transaction history showed everything. A deposit of $499,800 converted to Bitcoin 3 weeks ago. The exact amount stolen from me. Then, 2 days later, the Bitcoin was transferred to another wallet address. Current balance, 0. Angela made a sound like a wounded animal. My mother wrapped an arm around her. My father stared at the screen with his mouth open. He really did it, Angela said. My husband stole from my little brother. From our family, I pulled out my phone and called Officer Martinez. I found evidence. You need to come to this address right now. While we waited for the police, I kept searching the laptop. I found more. Encrypted messages between Craig and someone saved as JR. In a messaging app. I couldn't read most of them because they were encoded, but a few recent ones were plain text. JR. You did your part. I did mine. Your cut is in your wallet. Craig. What if they trace it? JR. They won't. I've done this before. You're clean. Craig. I still can't believe we pulled it off. JR. 500K is life-changing money, my friend. Enjoy your share. So Craig wasn't working alone. Someone named JR had helped him. Someone with technical knowledge who'd done this before. Officer Martinez and Officer Thompson arrived with 2 other detectives. We showed them everything. They photographed the laptop screen, took statements, and collected the computer as evidence. We can arrest him when he returns, Officer Martinez said. We have enough here for charges of wire fraud, theft, and computer crimes. Where is Mr. Brennan now? I don't know, Angela said. He said he had interviews, but that was probably a lie. We waited. 1 hour passed. Then 2. Angela tried calling Craig's phone. It went straight to voicemail. My father paced the living room. My mother made coffee nobody drank. I sat on the couch, feeling nothing. Shock had turned to numbness. At 4:30 in the afternoon, we heard a car in the driveway. Craig's Jeep. Angela looked at me with terror in her eyes. What do I do? Let him come inside, Officer Martinez said quietly. Act natural. The front door opened. Craig walked in wearing khakis and a button-down shirt, looking like he'd been at job interviews. He saw all of us in the living room and froze. His eyes went to the officers, then to his laptop sitting on the coffee table, then back to the officers. What's going on? He asked, but his voice had no conviction. Craig Brennan, you're under arrest for wire fraud and theft. Officer Martinez stood up and pulled out handcuffs. Craig ran, just turned and bolted out the front door. I didn't think, I just chased him. I'm not an athlete. I sit at a desk 40 hours a week, but adrenaline is a powerful thing. I caught him in the front yard, tackled him onto the grass. We struggled for a few seconds before the officers pulled me off and restrained Craig. He was shouting the whole time, "I did it for us, for Angela. We were going to lose everything. That money was going to save us. By stealing from my family." I screamed back. "They put him in handcuffs. Read him his rights." Angela watched from the doorway, crying. As they walked him toward the police car, Craig turned back to look at us. "The money's already gone. You'll never get it back. It's in an account you can't touch." Officer Thompson spoke quietly. "Cryptocurrency theft is incredibly difficult to recover from, Joshua. Even with an arrest, getting that money back is unlikely." I watched them put Craig into the back of the police car. My brother-in-law, the man my sister loved, a thief who'd betrayed us all. And he was right about one thing. The money was gone. Even with him caught, I might never see a penny of what Grandpa intended for me. The next week was the hardest of my life. Craig was formally charged with wire fraud, theft, computer crimes, and cryptocurrency laundering. The bail was set at $200,000. Angela didn't even try to post it. She filed for divorce the same day. I hired an attorney, Lauren Morrison, who specialized in financial crimes and fraud recovery. She had gray-streaked hair, glasses that made her look like a professor, and a reputation for being absolutely ruthless in court. Our first meeting was in her downtown Portland office. She reviewed all the evidence, the police reports, the bank documents, everything. Then she looked at me with sympathy that somehow made everything worse. "Joshua, I need to be honest with you. Cases like this rarely end with full recovery. Craig converted the funds to cryptocurrency and moved them out of the exchange within days. Once cryptocurrency enters a private wallet, it's nearly impossible to trace or freeze. Even if we win a judgment against Craig in civil court, we can't collect what we can't find. So, that's it? He just gets away with it. Has going to prison. The federal prosecutor thinks they can get 7 to 10 years based on the amount stolen and the sophistication of the crime. But getting your money back? That's a different battle." I left her office feeling defeated. 7 to 10 years didn't feel like justice. It felt like a consolation prize. But I couldn't let it go. I contacted an old friend from college, Marcus Kim, who worked in cybersecurity for a tech company. We met for coffee at the same Stumptown, where Craig had accessed my account. "I need your help," I told him. "The police say the money trail goes cold, but there has to be something they missed." Marcus was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "The police have to follow rules. They need warrants, proper procedures. I don't have those limitations for personal research. If you give me access to Craig's laptop information, I can dig deeper." "Is that legal?" "It's a gray area. But if I find something, we can point the police toward it without revealing how we found it. They can then get proper warrants and make it official." I thought about it for exactly 5 seconds. "Do it." Marcus spent 2 weeks working on it in his spare time. He coordinated with the police to access Craig's laptop legally through discovery in the civil case. He examined the encrypted messages more thoroughly than the police had time to do. Then he called me at work one Tuesday afternoon. I broke the encryption. "You need to see this." We met at his apartment. Marcus pulled up the decrypted messages on his computer, hundreds of them between Craig and this person named JR. The messages went back almost 6 months. The conversation started with Craig reaching out. "Hey man, long time. I need help with something technical. Are you still doing freelance IT work?" JR's response: "Depends on the job. What do you need?" From there, it escalated. Craig explained his financial situation, mentioned that his wife's grandfather had won the lottery, said he'd heard that his brother-in-law might be getting a large inheritance soon, asked if there was a way to intercept a wire transfer. JR had been hesitant at first, but Craig was persuasive. He offered JR a 30% cut, $150,000 for technical assistance. That changed JR's mind. The messages detailed everything. JR walked Craig through obtaining my banking credentials, helped him set up the rerouting instructions, provided the cryptocurrency exchange account information, taught him how to convert the money to Bitcoin and transfer it to untraceable wallets. "This JR person is the mastermind," Marcus said. Craig was just the inside man with access to your information, but JR has the technical knowledge. And look at this. He pulled up another set of messages from 8 months ago. Different conversation. JR talking to someone else about a similar scheme. Then another conversation from a year ago. Another scheme. Has done this before, I said. Multiple times. I found references to at least 4 other similar thefts. This guy is running a systematic operation. He finds people who are desperate for money and have access to someone else's financial information. Then he helps them steal it in exchange for a cut. We took everything to Officer Martinez. She brought in a detective from the Financial Crimes Unit, Detective Sarah Chen. Detective Chen reviewed Marcus' findings with intense focus. "This is excellent work," she said. "Technically, some of this evidence might not be admissible because of how it was obtained, but it gives us enough to know where to look officially. If we can identify JR, we can get proper warrants and build a prosecutable case." "Can you identify him from the messages?" I asked. "Well, start with Craig. Hess looking at serious prison time. If we offer him a deal for cooperation, he might give up his accomplice." 2 days later, Detective Chen called me. "Craig is willing to talk. He wants a reduced sentence. Hess going to give us JR's real identity." They set up the meeting at the county jail. I wasn't allowed to be there, but Detective Chen called me immediately afterward. "JR is Jeremy Russo, and you're not going to believe this. He works at Pacific First Bank, your bank. Hez, a customer service representative who has access to customer account information." My entire body went cold. "He works at my bank." We pulled his employment records. Has been there for 3 years. And here's the kicker. 8 months ago, you called the customer service line with a question about setting up an automatic transfer. Jeremy Russo took that call. During the call, he accessed your account details, noted your security information, and started planning. I remembered that call. It'd been setting up automatic payments for my student loans and had a question about the transfer limits. The representative had been friendly and helpful. He'd thought nothing of it. When Craig came to him desperate for help, Jeremy saw an opportunity. He already had your information from that call. He knew you were Grandpa Walter's grandson because your account had family emergency contact information that listed your grandfather. Had been waiting for the right moment to exploit that information. How many other people has he done this to? Detective Chen's voice was grim. "We're still investigating, but based on what we found on his personal computer after we raided his apartment this morning, we think at least 11 other victims over the past 2 years. The total amount stolen is over $3 million. The FBI got involved because of the scale of Jeremy Russo's operation. Stealing over $3 million across multiple victims and state lines made it a federal case. Agent Carla Williams led the investigation. She was in her 50s, professional and cold in a way that made me think she'd seen every kind of financial crime humanity could devise. She interviewed me twice, went through my banking history with incredible detail, asked about every interaction I'd ever had with Pacific First Bank. I told her everything I could remember. The FBI's cybercrimes unit took over the cryptocurrency tracing. Agent Williams explained that while crypto transactions are difficult to track, they're not impossible if you have the right resources and expertise. The FBI had both. Jeremy Russo made a critical mistake. Agent Williams told me during one update meeting, he kept detailed records of every theft, every conversion, every wallet transfer. He did this as insurance, in case any of his accomplices tried to cheat him or turn on him. Those records are going to be his downfall. "You can recover the money?" I asked, afraid to hope. "We're working on it. The cryptocurrency was moved through multiple wallets to obscure the trail. But we've identified the final cold storage wallet where Russo consolidated most of the stolen funds. He was planning to wait 5 or 10 years before cashing out, thinking everyone would have forgotten by then. We're in the process of seizing those assets now. The legal process took 6 weeks. 6 weeks of paperwork, court orders, jurisdictional arguments, and technical procedures I didn't understand. Lauren, my attorney, guided me through all of it. The FBI froze Jeremy's cryptocurrency assets. Craig was cooperating fully, providing passwords and wallet information in exchange for a reduced sentence. During those 6 weeks, I tried to focus on rebuilding my relationship with my family. Angela was devastated. Her marriage was over. Her husband was going to prison. She'd been betrayed by the person she trusted most. She moved out of the house in Hillsborough and into a small apartment in Gresham. Started seeing a therapist. Got a job as an office manager at a dental clinic. We had coffee every Sunday at a diner halfway between our places. At first, the conversations were stilted and painful. But gradually, we found our way back to each other. She apologized repeatedly for Craig's actions, even though I told her it wasn't her fault. "I should have seen it," she said one Sunday morning over pancakes. All the signs were there. The secrecy, the lies, the mood swings. I chose to believe him instead of trusting my instincts. "He manipulated you," I said. "That's what manipulators do. They make you doubt yourself." My relationship with my father was harder to repair. Head kept Craig's secrets, co-signed that loan without telling Mom, made decisions that put the whole family at risk. My mother was furious with him. They were in couples therapy, trying to work through the breach of trust, but Dad was genuinely remorseful. He admitted his mistakes. He started going to a support group for family members dealing with gambling addiction, trying to understand how Head enabled Craig's behavior. He and I had several long, difficult conversations where he listened more than he talked. That was new for him. Grandpa Walter struggled the most. He blamed himself for everything, even though none of it was his fault. I visited him every week. We'd sit in his living room, watch football, and talk. He opened up about his fears of dying and leaving nothing good behind. I reminded him of all the good Head done. The charities Head helped, the family memories Head created, the love Head shown. "You gave me something more valuable than money, Grandpa," I told him one evening. "You showed me what generosity looks like, what family should mean. That's worth more than $500,000. He cried. I'd never seen him cry before. 3 months after that terrible Thanksgiving, Lauren called me with news I'd stopped hoping for. The FBI recovered the assets. They seized the cryptocurrency from Jeremy's cold storage wallet. All of it. $4.2 million worth. I couldn't speak. "Joshua, there were 12 victims total, including you. The FBI recovered 93% of all stolen funds. Because you were the most recent victim, and because Craig cooperated, they were able to freeze your portion before Jeremy could move it again. You're getting back the full $499,800. I started crying, right there on the phone with my attorney. 3 months of stress and fear and hopelessness just poured out. But she wasn't done. There's more. Pacific First Bank is being held liable for their employees' criminal actions and their failure to catch the fraud despite multiple red flags in their system. They're settling all victim claims to avoid a lawsuit. They've agreed to cover all your legal fees, which total about $18,000, and they're paying you an additional $100,000 in damages for the emotional distress and negligence. I did the math through my tears. $499,800 recovered, plus $100,000 in damages. That was $599,800, more than Grandpa had originally sent. "When do I get it?" I asked. "The bank is processing everything now. You should see the funds in your account within 2 weeks. I called Grandpa first. He whooped with joy like a kid. Then Angela. Then my parents. Then Marcus to thank him for his help. Then I just sat in my apartment and let myself feel relief for the first time in months. 2 weeks later, on a Tuesday morning, I checked my bank account before work. There it was, a deposit of $599,800. In the memo line, settlement, Pacific First Bank. I stared at that number for a long time. Then I transferred $10,000 to my checking account and left the rest in savings. I had plans for that money, good plans. But first, I had something to do. 6 months after that horrible Thanksgiving, my life looked completely different. Craig was sentenced to 7 years in federal prison for wire fraud and theft. Jeremy Russo got 15 years for his systematic fraud operation across multiple victims. The judge called it a calculated and predatory scheme that destroyed the financial security of hardworking Americans. Angela finalized her divorce. She was living in her small apartment in Gresham, working at the dental clinic, and slowly rebuilding her sense of self. She told me once that losing Craig was the best thing that ever happened to her, even though it hurt. "I was married to a lie," she said. "Now I get to figure out who I actually am." We had coffee every Sunday without fail. Sometimes we talked about heavy things. Mostly, we just enjoyed being siblings again. She started dating a teacher she met at a friend's barbecue. He seemed nice, patient, nothing like Craig. I told her I approved, and she laughed and said she didn't need my approval but appreciated it anyway. My parents worked through their issues. Dad paid off the loan Head co-signed for Craig using his retirement savings. It wiped him out financially, but Mom said it was important that he take responsibility for his choices. They're still in therapy. Their marriage is different now, but maybe stronger, built on honesty instead of protecting each other from hard truths. Grandpa Walter got to see justice served, and that brought him peace. But his health declined rapidly after everything happened. The stress took a toll on his heart. He passed away 8 months after Thanksgiving, surrounded by family, in his home. He was 83 years old. At his funeral, the church was packed. Former co-workers from the post office, neighbors, people from his church, recipients of his lottery generosity. Person after person stood up and told stories about Grandpa kindness, how Head helped them when they needed it most, how Head never expected anything in return. When it was my turn to speak, I talked about the gift he tried to give me. Grandpa wanted to give me money for my future, I said, and even though that money was stolen, even though it caused my family so much pain, I'm grateful, because that gift revealed the truth. It exposed the betrayal that was already there, festering in secret. It gave us a chance to cut out the cancer and heal properly. Grandpa's generosity, as always, came with unexpected wisdom. I used the money to buy a house. Nothing fancy. A 3-bedroom bungalow in southeast Portland with a small yard and a garage that needs work. It's mine, paid in full. I'll never take that feeling for granted. I invested $400,000 in a diversified portfolio, working with a fiduciary financial advisor. That money is for my future. Retirement, emergency fund, the security Grandpa wanted me to have, and I set up a fund with $50,000, the Joshua Thompson Financial Fraud Victim Assistance Fund. It provides small grants to people who've been victims of financial crimes, helping them cover legal fees and living expenses while they fight for recovery. Lauren Morrison serves on the board. So does Marcus. We've helped 8 people so far. It's not much, but it's something. The remaining money went to paying off my student loans, buying a reliable new car, and creating a cushion so I never have to choose between car repairs and eating. My life is stable now, quiet. I still work as an accountant. I still have coffee with Angela every Sunday. I visit my parents once a month. I volunteer at the fund. I go to therapy every other week to process everything that happened. People ask me if I'm angry, if I hate Craig and Jeremy for what they did. The honest answer is complicated. Yes, I'm angry. What they did was evil. They stole not just money but peace of mind, family trust, and precious time. They deserve every year of their prison sentences. But I'm also grateful, not for the theft, but for what came after, for the way my family came together, for the truth that emerged, for the strength I found in myself when I decided to fight instead of accept defeat. I learned that money reveals character. Grandpa's generosity revealed his loving heart. Craig's theft revealed his moral bankruptcy. My family's response revealed who we really were when tested. I learned that fighting for justice matters, even when it seems hopeless. If I'd given up after the police said the money was gone, Jeremy would still be stealing from people. Those 11 other victims wouldn't have gotten their money back. Sometimes perseverance is the only tool you have, and it's enough. I learned that family can break and heal. Angela and I are closer now than we were before. My parents' marriage is more honest. We talk about hard things instead of hiding them. The cracks in our foundation forced us to rebuild stronger. Most importantly, I learned what Grandpa really gave me. Not $500,000. Not a house or financial security. He gave me a clear picture of what generosity looks like. Giving without expectation. Helping because you can. Using your resources to improve someone else's life. That's the inheritance I'll carry forever. I keep a framed photo of Grandpa on my fireplace mantel. It's from last Thanksgiving, before everything went wrong. Hez laughing at someone's joke, his eyes crinkled with joy. Every time I look at it, I remember what he said to me once when I was a kid. Joshua, money comes and goes. Character stays. Be the kind of man who does the right thing even when it costs you. He lived that truth every day of his life, and now I'm trying to do the same. Last Sunday, Angela and I had coffee at our usual diner. We were talking about her new relationship, about my plans to renovate the garage, about Mom and Dad's upcoming anniversary. Normal stuff. Healing stuff. Before we left, I pulled out my phone and texted her. Want to come over next Sunday instead? I'll make Grandpa famous pancakes. She texted back immediately. I'll bring the maple syrup. And maybe I'll bring Daniel too. You should meet him properly. I smiled, looking forward to it. As I drove home that afternoon, Portland looked beautiful. The rain had cleared, and the sun was actually shining. Cherry blossoms were starting to bloom on the trees lining my street. Spring was coming. I pulled into my driveway and sat in my car for a minute, looking at my house, my home, built with money that was stolen and recovered, built with pain that turned to growth, built with love that survived betrayal. Grandpa would be proud. I want to ask you something, and I really hope you'll share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had someone betray your trust? Someone you thought you knew? How did you handle it? Did you forgive them, or did you walk away? And more importantly, do you think families can truly heal from that kind of betrayal? Or does something always stay broken? I'd love to hear your stories and perspectives. We're all just trying to figure this out together. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes, knowing you're not alone in the struggle makes all the difference. Thank you for listening to my story. I know it was long, and I appreciate you sticking with me through all the twists and turns. Life is complicated and messy, and healing isn't a straight line. But it's possible, I promise you that. Take care of yourselves and each other. And remember what Grandpa taught me. Character stays. Be the person who does the right thing, even when it costs you. That's how we build lives worth living. Until next time, stay strong and keep fighting for what's right.